Hello everyone, this is Leftos and I'm here to show you showcase NBA Stats Tracker and all the features I've had since the last showcase back in July. A lot of things have happened since then, and the editor for 2K13 is coming. It's close, I can feel it. I have made sure NBA Stats Tracker is going to be compatible with it the day it's publicly released, and I've added a lot more stuff, so let me show you. I'm going to open a database that I've got from an NLSC user, Pitar, who is doing an association, a Seattle Supersonics association. So first, let's go to team overview. Let's pick a team, for example, Pitar Supersonics. Here are the stats, of course, averages, the team rankings, opponent stats, opponent averages, and of course all those stats, everything you see in any screen of the tool. You can either have it limited by season, you can limit it between certain dates. For example, I can say I want it between November 1 and November 5. It's going to calculate everything for me, no problem at all. Let's go to split stats, where you can see stats split by home and away, wins and losses, season playoffs, versus against certain opponents, against opponents with more than 500, less than 500 in the last 10 games before that, and of course monthly stats. Here in the roster you can get an overview of the team's roster, the players, position, height, weight, injury status, years pro, year of birth, and the contracts. Player stats, all the player stats you need, all the averages and totals are gathered here. Metric stats are here. Playoff stats, if the team was in the playoffs, you would be able to check them out here, and these are the metric stats. Best performers, these are calculated based on the player's game score, and the most prominent stats out of their stat line are featured here. The tool picks them based on some calculations I've done over, I got the 100 best players based on PER since the 3-pointer, if I'm not mistaken, and I've averaged what each player in each position, what the players in each position, the best 100 players did, and then these are based on that. So for example, a point guard that has a lot of blocks, which is weird for a point guard but is significant more than if he has 2 assists. Every point guard is supposed to do that. Those blocks are going to be featured here prominently. Recommended situationals was named recommended starting 5 some time ago, but now you can pretty much have the best starting 5 based on everything. Is it late in the game and you want the players that have the best free throw percentage? Here you go. Player career highs, these are either grabbed from the game. You can set them yourself, or they can be calculated based on the box scores. Here are the box scores that have been calculated for this team. This is the total game score of the players, so you can take a quick look at which were your best and worst performances. Head to head is where you can compare two teams against one another. If there are box scores between them, of course they will show up here. Head to head best performers, you can check out the best players. Right now this is broken, but I'm going to fix it, and you'll be able to compare the best players of your team and the opposing team. For some reason the Lakers are showing up here. Anyway, matchup preview has, this is mostly an association story feature. It gives you the teams and the records, two of the most significant stats from each team compared to the other team. For example, the Supersonics are third best in the league in 3-pointers, so how are the Lakers on that? 24th. That's a significant comparison. And of course, the best players per group of positions. Yearly report. Here are the stats over the seasons you have accumulated. You can of course add past stats manually if you want to. And the scouting report gives you a nice quick rundown if you don't want to go through all those tables. You can read in simple English what's the team's best aspects and worst aspects. And of course, if the team is doing very well in certain areas, they will also appear. Um, you can change the team name, change the division, player overview. Let's see how Monroe has been doing over the first 5 games. Here is all the information on Monroe. These are these are imperial height and weight. You can change it through the options of the main window to metric. Here are the splits. That's 4 players as well. Home and away, wins and losses, season playoffs. With each team they've played against each opponent versus teams that are, of course, the same as the same exact things that you can get for teams. But the difference is that if a player has been traded over the course of the season or the daytime frame that you've picked, the teams that he's played with, not only against but with, will show up here in separate split stats. Box scores, best performances of the player based on the game score he got for that performance, with date, the opponent, the score of the game, and the most important stats. Head to head is where you can compare a player to any other player, as you can see, and you can limit the stats on games that they've either played against any other opponent or just in games that they've played against each other. Records and contract, these are the records, this is the player's contract, a quick overview. Performance graph, pick any stat, you can get a nice graph of how the player has performed. Scouting report, the player's performance in simple English, the most significant stats against the league leaders, against all the players in the league, and yearly report, of course. League overview, this is pretty much self-explanatory. Let me get it to fit in the recording area. Team stats, everything you need to know about the teams. You can of course limit them to conferences and divisions if you import with I haven't imported this with one of the new versions, so I hadn't implemented divisions and conferences yet, but if you import or if you created divisions manually, this is going to let you limit those stats so you can get division and conference rankings. Wins and losses against the teams of the same division, the same conference, the last 10 games, the current streak of each team. The league averages show up in each tab. Team metric stats, of course, opponent stats and opponent metric stats. Team information allows you to see which teams have how many players in each position, so you can determine their needs. The payroll of each team for the subsequent years. The league leaders show up here. You can either use the NBA regulation, the NBA rules about league leaders, or you can set your own rules based on games played and minutes per game to have players filtered and only keep the players that have been playing a significant amount of the season, not just have outliers, players with just a game played out of 80, or players that are just playing 3 minutes per game, skewing their stats in their favor. Injuries and contracts, this is a league overview of pretty much all the injuries in the league. You can sort by when the players are going to return to view the injuries this way. You can of course sort the contracts. Player stats are all the players, no matter how many games they played, no filters about league leaders. Here, player metric stats, pretty much the same. Best performers, as we saw in the teams, but this is limited to either the league or a certain division or conference. Ultimate team, you can pick one of those teams, and you can either have them be based on game score, or you can have them be based on yeah, these are based on game score, of course, and you can have the all league second team, all league third team, substitutes for each team show up, and all rookies first team. Everything is going to show up here. Um, and you can, of course, limit the ultimate team to either all players, league leaders, or my league leaders. Box scores, every box score that has been imported into the database is going to show up here, and the recommended 2K ratings. This makes more sense if you're using the real NBA stats. So if you've imported the real NBA stats, you can this tab is going to recommend what ratings you can use, and you can of course export them directly to Reddit or roster editor. To make your roster better. These are all based on Slim's formulas for the stats. Uh, Advanced player search. I showed off this feature in the other video where I showcased the new custom metrics feature. When I featured that, when I made that video, there were only player stats here. Now you can add stats like how many points out of the team's points is the player putting up, or how many of these players' attempts, what percentage of the team's attempts are made by the player. You can add whatever metric you want using any of the stats that are available for teams and players as building blocks, and create your own metrics, and have fun with that, and gain an advantage over your opponents. Of course, all the stats can be filtered either by any piece of information around the players, even amount of contract. They can be filtered based on stats, totals, averages, metrics, everything. Advanced Stats Calculator is a really cool feature. You set whatever criteria you want as far as how a player or a team has performed in games. For example, I want to ask how are the Pistons, Monroe's teammates and himself and the opponents are performing when Monroe is playing more than I don't know, 20 minutes. I can do a search for that, and as you can see, it has highlighted Monroe here, and I can see how all the other players, no matter the team, are doing when Monroe is playing more than 20 minutes. Here is how the teams are performing when Monroe, so the Pistons would be obviously his team, and the opponents, opponent stats, box scores. I'm going to fix the date here, sorry for that. And so Monroe seems to be playing over 20 minutes in every game, so let's make that 15. Still? Okay, let's make that, yeah, that makes sense. What am I thinking? Okay, let's make that 25. 5 games, again, 30 minutes. Oh yeah, I'm using the no, yeah, 30 minutes. Again, he's been averaging 32 minutes per game. Yeah, that makes sense. So has he played more than 33 minutes in any games? Yeah, just 2. So now there are games that this criterion isn't met, and of course I can add a multitude of criteria for a multitude of players. For example, I can say how are teams and players doing when Monroe and Stacky are starting together. Now you can go as detailed as you'd like, and here are going to be the stats when those criteria aren't met. So when Monroe is playing over 33 minutes, he's doing this well, and when he's playing less than 33 minutes, he's doing this well. And same goes for the teams and their opponent stats and the box scores that are included. So this is pretty much it. All the rest I'm going to showcase in another video, but I really hope you saw all the things you can do with NBA Stats Tracker as far as analysis goes in a very short synopsis. So experiment. I'm sure you're going to find a ton of other stuff you can do if you just experiment and look around a bit, and I'll see you with the next tutorial.